Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Miss Kaylee. Can you pause the video for just a minute and go get your parents for me? Thank you. Hey parents, on this week's lesson, we mention a few elements that may be difficult for some children. Please review the screen and see if this is right for your family. And if not, feel free to skip. We have the timestamps in the description. All right, let's get going. Shabbat Shalom.
Well, hey there, Tula kids. Shema Shalom. Welcome back to this week's episode of Trained Up in Torah. Torah. You know, it's a very interesting word. We say it a lot, don't we? Do you know what Torah means? Some people say Torah is the first 5 books of the Scriptures, and, you know, they're right. Other people will say that Torah is the law of Yahweh, and they're right too. But is that all that Torah is? I think there's something a little bit more to Torah than just those two things. I'll tell you what, let's get into this week's Sabbath school. We're going to have a prayer, and we're going to have a song, and we're going to have a story, and then when we come back, I'll tell you what more there is to Torah and why it's important to you. I'll see you here in just a minute.
Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam Vayed. Amen, amen.
Thank you, Abba, for this wonderful day that you've made. We thank you for Trained Up in Torah and for bringing us back together again on your Shabbat. We pray that you bless us in a special way with your presence and keep us all in your care. May we honor and please you as we learn to walk in your ways. We love you and thank you and pray all this in Yeshua's wonderful name. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I have a song I'd like to share with you. The name of this song is Way of Life. All these things you taught us we will do, for this is how we show our love for you, and this is how we love one another, doing good for our sisters and brothers. So all these things you taught us we will do. Every day we're learning to walk in your way. You have given us the way of life, way of life. You have made the perfect sacrifice. Why you chosen us, we wonder why, but we will live for you day and night, day and night. When we wake and when we go to sleep, in our house or walking in the street, we'll teach our children all the time. On our hands and we train our eyes. When we wake and when we go to sleep, every day we're learning to walk in your way. You have given us the way of life, way of life. You have made the perfect sacrifice, sacrifice. Shabbat Shalom.
Exodus 22. When a man steals an ox or a sheep, and shall slaughter it or sell it, he repays 5 cattle for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If the thief is found breaking in, and he is struck so that he dies, there is no guilt for his bloodshed. If the sun has risen on him, there is guilt for his bloodshed. He shall certainly repay. If he has not the means, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the theft is indeed found alive in his hand, whether it is an ox or donkey or sheep, he repays double. When a man lets a field or vineyard be grazed bare, and lets loose his livestock and feeds in another man's field, he repays from the best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard. When fire breaks out and spreads to thorn bushes, so that stacked grain or standing grain, or the field is consumed, he who kindled the fire shall certainly repay. When a man gives silver or gold to his neighbor to guard, and it is stolen out of the man's house, if the thief is found, he repays double. If the thief is not found, then the master of the house shall be brought before Elohim to see whether he has put his hand to his neighbor's goods. For every matter of transgression, for ox, for donkey, for sheep, for garment, or for whatever is lost, which another claims to be his, let the matter of them both come before Elohim, and whomever Elohim declares wrong repays double to his neighbor. When a man gives his neighbor a donkey or ox or sheep or any beast to watch over, and it dies or is injured or is driven away while no one is looking, let an oath of Yahweh be between them both, that he has not put his hand into his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept that, and he does not repay. But if it is indeed stolen from him, he repays to its owners. If it is torn to pieces, then let him bring it for evidence. He does not repay what was torn. And when a man borrows from his neighbor, and is injured or dies while the owner of it is not present, he shall certainly repay. But if its owner was with it, he does not repay. If it was hired, he is entitled to the hire. And when a man entices a maiden who is not engaged and lies with her, he shall certainly pay the bride price for her to be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he pays according to the bride price of maidens. Do not allow a practicer of witchcraft to live. Anyone lying with a beast shall certainly be put to death. He who slaughters to an Elohim except to Yahweh only is put under the ban. Do not tread down a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Mitzrayim. Do not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If you do afflict them at all, if they cry out to me at all, I shall certainly hear their cry. And my wrath shall burn, and I shall kill you with the sword. Your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If you do lend silver to any of my people, the poor among you, you are not to be like one, and lends on interest to him. Do not lay interest on him. If you take your neighbor's garment as a pledge at all, you are to return it to him before the sun goes down, for that is his only covering. It is his garment for his skin. What does he sleep in? And it shall be that when he cries to me, I shall hear, for I show favor. Do not revile Elohim, nor curse a ruler of your people. Do not delay giving your harvest and your vintage. Give me the firstborn of your sons. Likewise, you are to do with your oxen, with your sheep. It is to be with its mother 7 days. On the 8th day you give it to me. And you are set apart men to me. And you do not eat any meat which is torn to pieces in the field. You throw it to the dogs.
Shabbat
Shalom, I'm Kira.
and this is Emma.
Today we'll be talking about dogs. Dogs' nose prints are unique, just like humans' fingerprints. The name collie means black. Collies were used to herd black-faced sheep. One dog breed, the Basenji, does not bark. Instead, it makes more of a yodel noise.
Did you know greyhounds could beat a cheetah in a race? Cheetahs can run 70 miles per hour for about 30 seconds, while a greyhound can run 30 miles per hour for around 7 miles. That's a lot. Dogs have as many as 300 million nose receptors. Humans have around 5 million. That's what makes them great at smelling.
That's our lesson for dogs today.
Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, kiddos. What'd you think about our story this week? Did you have a hard time paying attention? I know sometimes I do. And don't worry, if you do, that's okay. But I want to tell you some stuff that may help with it. So earlier I asked you, what did Torah mean? And we said that it was the first 5 books of the Scriptures. We said that it's Yahweh's law. Then I alluded to there might be something more. And the something more is what we just did. We got to read Torah. Now, Torah's really cool because it's got all kinds of stories in it. I mean, for instance, we just read about Mosheh and Aharon and Yahweh bringing the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim, where they executed judgment on all the mighty ones and then even humbled Pharaoh. I mean, it was a really cool thing. You know, it's awesome to sit there and watch that story play out. And we get to see the Red Sea crossing and them going through that and Yahweh just doing some crazy, awesome, marvelous things. And those things keep your attention. But when we start reading like we did last week and this week and how we're going to be for the next couple of weeks, you know, it's different. It's not story. It's something else. It's Torah. So I asked you what the definition of it is. And, you know, we said the first 5 books. We also said that it's law. But the reason why I think it's something more than that, actually I know it's something more than that, is because, for instance, in Proverbs, it says, do not forsake the Torah of your mother. Now, I'm sure your mom has some laws, but is that all it's saying? The answer is no. Torah has a very cool definition. It means instructions. All right, so when you think about a law is just something stated. Here's the speed limit. Don't go over it, you get a fine. Whereas the Torah is full of instructions. It is how you do things, not just you don't do this. It's how you do things. And so we always taught our children that the definition of Torah is Yahweh's instructions on how to live life. And as you are listening to this part of the Torah, where it may sound like you do this, you do that, if you really listen to it, what Yahweh's telling you right now is, this is how I want you to treat people. This is your instruction on how to treat your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, your friends, everybody around you. But on top of that, it's always also Yahweh's instruction on how to treat him. He tells you, this is how you show me you love me. You guard my commands. And that's really cool. So whenever I start getting to the point to where I'm like, man, I'm having a hard time paying attention, I remember what I'm doing right now is I'm listening to the instructions of how to live life, and also the instructions, the Torah, of how Yahweh wants me to show him love. And that helps me to keep my attention. All right, let's get to this next segment of Sabbath School, and I'll see you here in just a bit.
Beten Gimel Dalet Hey and Bob and Zion Chet and Tet and Yod and Kaf Lamed Mem Nun Samek Ayin Hey and Sade Kof and Resh Sin and Shin and Tav.
Shalom. Hello, boys and girls. Today we have 5 Hebrew words for you to learn. They can be found in chapter 22 in the book of Exodus. That's Shemot in Hebrew. If you are ready to see the words we have for you today, then come on and let's go. The first word on the screen is chamesh. It means 5 in Hebrew. Now you try to say it. Chamesh. Good. Chet. Mem. And Sheen together spell chamesh. The second word that you see is ganav. It is the Hebrew word meaning a thief. Ganav is spelled with the following letters of Gimel, Nun, and Bet. Ganav. The third word is chamor. It is the Hebrew word for a male donkey. Repeat after me. Chamor. Chet, Mem, Vav, and Resh all together spell chamor. The fourth Hebrew word that you see is kotz. It means a thorn in Hebrew. This rose has many thorns on its stem. We spell kotz with the following letters of kof, vav, and final tzadi. Kotz. The fifth and final word we have is kesef. It is the Hebrew word for silver. We spell kesef with the following letters of kaf, samech, and final pei. Kesef.
Okay, kids, it's time to review the words that we just learned. When you see the words pop up on the screen, then shout it out loud. Let's go!
Good job, boys and girls. Avodah tova. Now that you've learned these 5 Hebrew words, practice saying them with your parents. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom, V'li Triot.
Shabbat Shalom, boys and girls. This is Ms. Anaya with today's history lesson. Every country has their own set of laws. The U.S. is the Constitution of the United States, which was signed September 17, 1787, in Philadelphia at the Assembly Room of Pennsylvania State House, now known as Independence Hall. Many countries have constitutions, while others don't. A constitution is a set of rules that guides how a country, state, or other political organization works. The Constitution may tell what the branches of the government are, what powers they have, and how they work. It may also state the rights of the citizens. The United States Constitution has 27 amendments and was signed by 39 delegates. The original unamended Constitution has 4,543 words, including the signatures. The oldest man to sign it was Benjamin Franklin at age 81, and the youngest was Jonathan Dayton of New Jersey at age 26. George Washington and James Madison were the only 2 presidents that signed the U.S. Constitution. The National Achievement Museum in Washington, D.C. is now where the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights stay. Wow, that was a lot, and that's not even scratching the surface of all the information there is on the Constitution and the history that goes with it. Well, that's all for today. Till next time. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, everybody. My name is Miss Amy, and I'm super excited to be back again with you this week. So, today in our scripture story, we went over some of Yahweh's instructions that he has given his people. And I just wanted to add some more verses today to show just how good his instructions are and his commandments that he's given us. So starting in 1 John 5:2-3. By this we know that we love the children of Elohim, when we love Elohim and guard his commands. For this is the love for Elohim, that we guard his commands, and his commands are not heavy. Proverbs 3:1-2. My son, do not forget my Torah, and let your heart watch over my commands, for length of days and long life and peace they add to you. John 14:15-17. If you love me, you shall guard my commands, and I shall ask the Father, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever, the Spirit of the truth, whom the world is unable to receive, because it does not see him or know him, but you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. Proverbs 6:23. For the command is a lamp, and the Torah a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. Psalms 119:71-72. It was good for me that I was afflicted, that I might learn your laws. The Torah of your mouth is better to me than thousands of gold and silver pieces. So I hope that those verses were a blessing for you, and I pray that you have a wonderful rest of your Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, we've been having a lot of fun, haven't we? It's been a great episode, hasn't it? Let's finish up this episode. We've got a song, we got a craft, we've got our snack, which is everybody's favorite, and then we're going to get prayed out. I hope you have a great Sabbath, and I'll see you next time.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is Miss Shannon with a new memory verse for you. This week we have Tehillim or Psalms 146 verse 9. Let's take a look at it. Yahweh guards the strangers. He lifts up the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wrong ones he turns upside down. Tehillim or Psalms 146 verse 9. Okay, so let's get started with memorization. I'm going to take some words out of the verse, and you're going to fill in the blanks. Remember to pause the video if you feel you need more time. Yahweh guards the strangers. He lifts up the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wrong ones he turns upside down. Tehillim or Psalms 146 verse 9. Very good. Now let's try it another time. Fill in the blanks that you see here. Yahweh guards the strangers. He lifts up the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wrong ones he turns upside down. Tehillim or Psalms 146 verse 9. Well done. Now try reciting your memory verse. Give yourself more time if you need it, and a little grace because you might not get it right the first time. It's okay if you don't. Just give it a try. Yahweh guards the strangers. He lifts up the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wrong ones he turns upside down. Tehillim or Psalms 146 verse 9. Awesome job, you guys. Alright, so let's talk real quickly about how this verse connects to our chapter. In Exodus or Shemot chapter 22, we heard about various laws. Can you guess why I'm talking about strangers and widows and orphans? That's right, it's because there were a couple laws in there about being kind to the strangers and the widows and orphans. A lot of Christians tend to think that loving their neighbors in that way is kind of more of a New Testament, newer idea. But as we can see here, that's not a new thing. Yah has always cared about the orphans and the widows and the strangers. It just goes to show that Yah and his laws never change, just our understanding of them. With that, here's your memory verse for this week. Remember to practice it as much as you need. I pray you have a wonderful, blessed week ahead, and Shabbat Shalom.
Instructions written down long ago, sadly oftentimes ignored. So many lies have made them misunderstood. But see, the Father said He gave them for our good. These are His right rulings. See, people would be more satisfied and find they wouldn't have to strive. The Father said that He would bless when we followed Him in His right rulings. In a world that's always crying for justice, but don't see that what the Father gave us are His instructions how to love our neighbor and how to fulfill the words given by our Savior. They teach us how to love one another. They teach us how to be a friend to our neighbors and strangers and sisters and brothers, and how to live in that promised land. They teach us how to live with justice, how to break the bonds of slavery, how to care for the poor, the widows, and the orphans. It's the Father's love we can see through His right rulings.
Shabbat Shalom, boys and girls. This is Miss Megan, and today we are going to make this adorable little ox craft together. For our supplies, we're going to need an empty cardboard toilet paper roll, some yarn, the color is your choice, some glue, some white paper, scissors, a black marker or colored pencil, and either a piece of pink construction paper or another pink marker or pink colored pencil. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is cut about 1/3 of your toilet paper roll length off, just to make it a little shorter. After you got it the height that you want your ox, you're going to go to the bottom and you're going to cut, as I do right here, just a small little opening, a little piece off, so that you'll see your hooves in your next step. Next, you're going to draw and color in 2 little black hooves on each side of the hole you just made. Now, either cut a small circle on your pink construction paper, or if you're like me, I just made a pink circle on white paper with a colored pencil, and then you cut that out. And then you draw a cute little black smiley face on it. Now we're going to draw some little horns for our ox on our white paper and cut those out as well. Now we're going to wind up your yarn to make the tuft of hair. To do this, I wound it to about 2 inches long on each side, and then I'm going to glue it on the inside of the top of the cardboard. Now that your ox has a cute little mohawk, you're going to glue the horns to the top of its head. Now we're going to glue the tuft of hair down so that it'll lay flat over his eyes. Next, I'm going to trim his hair just a wee bit so that he can see where he's going. Next, we're going to take the pink smiley face that we made and we're going to glue it just below his hair. That's going to be his nose and his mouth. Now for our final step, we're going to draw on some black eyes, or you can also glue on some googly eyes or even use little stickers if you have them. And there you have it, you made your own little ox. Thanks for crafting with me today. Enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Shalom!
Hey everybody! For this week's snack idea, we're actually going to have a few different things. So in our lesson today, we talked about sheep and ox and cattle. We also talked about if a man's animals get loose and get into another man's field, that he's to repay. He's to give the best of his field and the best of his own vintage, or that means vineyard. So we're going to be looking at some grape stuff and some grain things and some sheep things. Look at these cute little sheep. They're using the grain. Make sure you use kosher marshmallows, and you can use almonds or something else for the heads, and you can use pretzels for the legs and chocolate chips. This would be a yummy, cute snack idea. So when I was looking up grape snacks, I saw some unique things that I've never thought of before, like this bread that looks delicious with grapes in it. Now I've heard of raisin bread, but I've never had grape bread. Have you? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Apparently, frozen grapes are a really yummy, delicious snack. I've never had frozen grapes before, but everybody was saying that they are delicious. Some people will do things like take sugar and flavor it, maybe even use something like Kool-Aid, which I don't recommend, and they would coat the grapes and freeze them, or they just eat them like they are frozen. Apparently, they stay soft and they're real easy to chew and they won't give you a brain freeze. And with that, I also saw these grape popsicles that look pretty good. So all you need is grapes and a little bit of honey. There's links to all of these recipes in the description. I hope you enjoy. Shabbat Shalom.
Dear Yahweh, thank you for this blessed Shabbat. Thank you for Miss Kaylee and all of the teachers here today. Bless everyone and our families and watch us till our next Shabbat. In Yeshua's name,